Lila had always taken the same path home from her late-night shifts at the diner. It was a quiet route that cut through her small suburban neighborhood, with the only oddity being the old abandoned playground along the way. The playground had been closed for decades, its rusted swings and broken merry-go-round serving as a haunting reminder of the children who once played there. The townsfolk whispered about why it had been shut down, but no one seemed to know the full story. Some said a tragic accident happened there, others mentioned a curse. Lila never paid much attention to the rumors, until one fateful night. That evening the sky was overcast and the air carried a biting chill. Lila wrapped her coat tighter around herself as she walked. The streets were empty, and the only sounds were the crunch of her boots on the gravel and the occasional rustling of the wind through the trees. As she approached the playground, a strange unease crept over her, the kind that prickles at the back of your neck. She ignored it and quickened her pace, her eyes fixed on the cracked sidewalk ahead. Then she heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible sound. Laughter. It was soft at first, like the tinkling of a bell, but it grew louder with each step she took. She stopped in her tracks and looked around. The laughter was coming from the playground. Her heart began to race. She told herself it was probably just the wind, but the sound was so distinct, so human. Against her better judgment, she turned her gaze toward the playground. In the dim light of the street lamp, she could see the swing swaying gently, though there was no wind. A shadow darted across the monkey bars, and she froze. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. The laughter stopped abruptly. The silence that followed was oppressive, as though the air itself had been sucked out of the night. Lila felt a chill run down her spine. She took a cautious step back, but before she could turn away, a child's voice echoed through the playground. "Come play with us." The voice was sweet and innocent, but something about it felt wrong. It was too perfect, too rehearsed, like a recording. Lila's breath caught in her throat. She scanned the playground but saw no one. The swings were still moving, now faster than before, creaking with each sway. "I don't have time for this," she muttered, trying to convince herself it was all in her head. She turned and hurried away, her footsteps echoing in the empty street. But the laughter started again, louder this time, and accompanied by the unmistakable sound of running feet. Lila didn't dare look back. She broke into a sprint, her pulse pounding in her ears. As she neared her house, the sounds stopped, leaving an eerie stillness in their wake. When she reached her front door, she fumbled with her keys, her hands shaking. She finally managed to unlock the door and slammed it shut behind her, locking it tightly. She leaned against the door, her chest heaving as she tried to calm her racing heart. It was just her imagination, she told herself, stress and exhaustion playing tricks on her. But when she looked out the window, her blood turned to ice. The playground was no longer in the distance, it was in her front yard. The swings, the slide, the monkey bars, they were all there, rusted and broken, as if they had been uprooted and moved overnight. And on the swing closest to her window sat a shadowy figure. It was small, childlike, but its form was indistinct, as though it was made of smoke or darkness. The swing creaked as the figure rocked back and forth, its head tilting toward her. Then it spoke, the same sweet, unnatural voice she had heard before. "Come play with us." Lila stumbled back from the window, her heart hammering in her chest. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911, her fingers trembling so badly she could barely press the buttons. The call connected, but all she heard on the other end was static. "No, no, no," she whispered, trying again. The same result. Static, followed by faint laughter. Her breath came in short gasps as she backed into the living room. She didn't know what to do, where to go. Suddenly, the laughter grew louder, echoing through the house. The lights flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls. And then the shadows began to move. They stretched and twisted, forming shapes that resembled children. They darted across the walls, giggling and whispering, their voices overlapping in an eerie chorus. Lila clutched her phone tightly, her mind racing. This couldn't be real. It had to be a nightmare. The shadows converged in the center of the room, forming a larger figure. It towered over her, its form writhing and shifting like a mass of darkness. Two glowing eyes appeared, staring down at her with an intensity that froze her in place. "Stay with us," it said, its voice deep and guttural, layered with the voices of countless children. "You belong here now." Lila screamed and bolted Aichi.